everyone, welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith. Today we're going to be unboxing a game called Legacy of Dragonholt. I'm really excited about this one for a number of reasons that I'll get into in a few seconds. This game is designed by Nikki Valens. Fantasy Flight Games has produced it. I went online looking for some content on this one. There's not that many videos. I was really surprised to not be able to find that many unboxings or anything like that for this particular game. So I know it is brand new, it's out recently, but still it's very shocking to see with a Fantasy Flight production that there isn't that much, I should say, hype behind this one, I don't think. So I think it's slipping a little bit behind the radar, but I think it's going to be a really interesting and unique game, and one that's going to just add to my collection. If you are a solo player or like playing with others cooperatively, the game does mention it's cooperative and it's narrative adventure. And I think the word narrative is what's really sticking out to me, because the purpose of this game is going to be to basically have you as an adventurer create your own story. And that's really the coolest element of this particular game from what I'm seeing before I've played it, is that your story is going to evolve throughout the game. So the focus won't necessarily be on just combating an evil or something like that. It's going to be more about enjoying the adventure of getting there and adding to your legacy. Hence the name Legacy of Dragonholt. So I'm really excited for this. I'll flip it over, we'll read the back, then we're going to tear into this thing. So if you want to skip to the actual ripping of the box open, it might start around the 2.5 minute mark or 3 minute mark. We'll see. Alright, so on the very back of this, now that I've totally upheaved everything inside the box, we've got a little bit of an explanation here. We've got some stuff that I'm not familiar with, but these could potentially be different things that you can go ahead and do. Maybe they're quests, I don't know. These are probably the major ones. So Crypt, there's a Crypt one here, a Terror on the Prairie, 2 New Roads, Whispering Leaves, Sliver of Silver, and Paper Faces. So there's 6 of them here. Looks like there's a town map board here. I'm going to do a quick zoom so you guys can see just a little bit better. So there's like a map board going on right here. You got your Dragonholt Village book, a Legacy Dragonholt, probably rulebook, or maybe character. Oh, it's a character creation book, I should say. A rulebook. You got your character cards, some item cards, tokens, and all that good stuff, as well as a content list below. This is, of course, from the Runebound universe. So for those of you who have played Runebound or any game in that universe, this game follows that same trail. So we'll go ahead and read this top section here, and then we'll get right into the unboxing, which is going to be the exciting part. Okay, so we got Dragonholt lies just past the eaves of spirit-haunted Eventide Forest, surrounded by ancient orchids and quiet farms. While much of Terrinoth is perilous, this village is a comparative haven of tranquility, or it used to be. Danger has come to Dragonholt, bandits and monsters gather in the forest, and a mystical debt comes due. Interesting. Alright, so let's read a little bit about what this game actually has. Legacy of Dragonholt is a cooperative narrative adventure, as I mentioned earlier, for 1 to 6 players. You will travel to the village of Dragonholt, meet an old friend, embark on adventures, and save the day, or not, as you make choices and test your skills. Dragonholt lives and changes around you, and the tale may take unexpected twists and turns due to your decisions and achievements. No 2 stories will be the same. Will you save the young lord or let him perish? Defeat the dragon or watch the village burn? Adventure awaits, so gather your friends, create your character, and dive into the rich world of the Runebound universe. Are you ready to tell your story? Yes, I am. Alright, let's get into this unboxing, because that's what we're here for. No more delay. So we're going to tear into this thing and see what's inside. I'm really excited for this. And just so you guys know, there will absolutely be a showcase for this. We'll be doing a solo setup video here real soon, as well as a rules overview, and then followed up with the actual playthrough. So this is going to be really exciting. I don't have a game that's really narrative-based. I've never actually seen the word narrative, I don't think, on the front of a box that I own in my current collection. So it's really cool to see a game that's just really more so choose-your-own-adventure style storytelling. I think that's going to be really interesting and unique, especially for a Fantasy Flight type game. Alright, so here we go. There's the box. I'll give you a quick idea on the cover. I'll just take this off because I think there's a little bit of gloss to it. But the artwork's really nice pop. I like the front of it. This, the actual title itself has kind of a, if I can hit the light correctly, might be impossible. Oh, there we go. You can kind of see the shimmer. So the words itself are a little bit glossy, so that looks really nice. And then the artwork itself just pops wonderfully. So there's a close-up of that, in case you couldn't see it earlier. Alright, so that's the box cover. Flip it over, nothing inside that way. Exciting. here we go. So lots of books because, hey, when it's a narrative adventure, there's going to be a lot of books involved. All right, so let's see what we got here. And again, forgive me because I haven't played this. I don't know what I'm looking at yet. Now, I think these are items. So the one thing is I'm going to go through these really quick. I don't want to spoil anything, so I won't be focusing too much on what's inside the books. But hey, we'll go through it as best we can very quickly. So this right here is a pack of cards. And it has TS. These have all kinds of letters in the back. So I'm assuming as you go through your adventure, you're able to unlock certain things. These are potentially items that you'll get and stuff like that. So there's a whole bunch here. We've got things like healing potions, trinkets, all that kind of stuff. I don't necessarily want to show everything. Well, I guess I kind of am now. But again, this is stuff you're going to see as you go through adventure. These are items that you can obtain. So if you wanted to pause and look at those individually, go for it. If you don't want to have that spoiled, then don't do that. All right, so this is the item pile from what I believe, and of course it's letter coordinated to the story. You got a handful of tokens here, so I'm not going to bother taking these out of the bag because they're pretty straightforward. But you got yourself, looks like they're kind of like rune stones, I guess. They are pretty nice looking. So there's 6 of those. We've got the rulebook. It says right on the front, read this first. So this is the Legacy of Dragonholt rulebook. What I really like about rulebooks like this is how insanely thin this one is. So we're talking 7 pages. That's awesome. I love games like that because this means you could read this quickly, gather your thoughts on it, and get going. I'm sure there's a reference book in typical Fantasy Flight fashion. So again, your introduction, components, game overview, objective of the game. You got your setup. We're going to be talking about the setup in a follow-up setup video for solo. So we'll go through each of those steps. The rules glossary, so you got all the different major effects and stuff like that. Things that can happen throughout the game, all broken down A to Z, all the way through the book. So that's really cool. And I think I'm going to be able to read through this fairly quickly, which is awesome, in order to gain an understanding. And then, of course, we got the story tracking sheet. So we're going to have our heroes here, their fame, their gold, story points, tons of different story events. I'll give you guys that's kind of crazy little matrix there of letter and number combinations. And then a notes section at the bottom. So just areas for notes. Now, I would imagine that they probably have this in a PDF format or something, so don't have to necessarily mark up the back of this book, but if you're one of those people who don't care about marking up your rule book, then you can go ahead and just use this. But again, it's likely one-time use, obviously, unless you're using pencil, which I'd highly not recommend on the back of the rule book, because you will not be able to erase it properly. All right, next up is the character creation book. This one's a little bit thicker. I really like the art in this. This is really cool. That's really nice, actually. I'm a pretty big fan of that. Creation book, is actually a little thicker than the rule book itself, so that's interesting. There's 19 pages total in this one. This one is not a spoiler-ridden book, so I can go ahead and show you this. So this will be a good portion of our probably solo setup video. We'll go through those 3 steps we saw in the prior book over here. Then we'll go into this, and we'll actually create our heroes. So there's a whole section here about choosing your race, and here's all your different human names. So if you want to go ahead with human, you've got orcs over here. Very cool. You've got the dwarves. I want to make sure that you guys get some nice look at the artwork there. Pretty cool. Dwarves. We got the elves over here. All right. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Very nice. And the cool thing is there seems to be different types of them. So Latari elves or the Donsmore elves. There's 2 different types there. The gnomes, the burrow gnomes, or the wanderer gnomes. Sorry. Cat folk. All right, so we got, wow, that's pretty cool. Choose a class. So after you do your step 1 of choosing your race, you choose your class. So you've got a bunch of things you can choose. Now, the other cool thing about this game is I believe it gives you quite a combination of things that you can bring together. So this one here, for instance, if I can get this to focus again, there we go. We got the brawler over here. Now this is just one example. There's many of them here. Knight, sage. They all have their own paragraphs. They show you their skills underneath. We'll talk a little bit more about this in the solo setup. So far we're probably over halfway through the book. Thief. Wildlander, their skills, and then of course you're describing yourself. So you're going to talk about your physical description, because again, this is all about storytelling, so you need to really understand and create your character. Example physical description, so it's going to give you some examples of how you should actually describe yourself. Personality traits and ideals, there's an example section of those. And then, of course, this is just more of the same, creating ideals. Your background, so again, you want to create your background, example backgrounds, and then choosing your skills is the last one, I think, unless there's a fifth one. Yeah, I think that's it. So list of skills, physical skills. This is going to be really cool. I'm really excited for this. This is going to be really interesting. And then your character sheet. So again, you can use the back of this sheet, or likely on Fantasy Flight's site, if not Board Game Geek, we should be able to find these sheets to print them off so we don't go marking them up. Or, magically, they actually put them in the box, which is perfect. So a whole bunch of character sheets here, and that's great. So you can get going. I think there's 6 to start. That would make sense. Yep. So there's 6 of these character sheets in the base game. And of course, the other thing you could do if you wanted to really go hardcore is you could laminate these sheets, all 6 of them, and then you could use like a dry erase marker on them and then just be able to quickly wash them away and start over again. So that might be something I'll explore, potentially do that. There's going to be a whole bunch of books in this. So bear with me here because there's all kinds of books because... well, we're talking different stories, essentially. So let's see what we got here. All right, so the first one is 2 New Roads. I'm guessing it's on the top because it's the first thing we're going to probably do. So this one says 2 New Roads. Very cool looking artwork there in the middle. I really like how this looks. Proximate playtime, awesome. So it even gives you an idea of how long it'll take us to play this one. So 50 to 80 minutes. So that's really easy to sit down and rip through. Worst case, that'll probably take 2 hours maybe if we're learning. We've got a tracking sheet for our time. We've got entries read. We make track of, or make mention of those. This book is quite a bit thicker than anything we've seen so far. Let me see if there's a page number on this one. No, so it's a little different. This one, yeah, so it has, I think it has reference to numbers. So you'll notice, without spoiling anything, we'll read this right here. Let's see, you can read more of any entries. So essentially, all these entries have numbers. So this whole book is full of a bunch of entry numbers. You'll see them over there on the right. And they go all the way up and down and stuff like that. So these are the numbers that you're going to be referencing as you go through. So without going through any spoilers, because that's not what I want to do, you essentially just have a whole book of different, and you'll see there's choices to be made. So you'll read an entry, and then you'll have a decision, and something may happen to you or affect you, and then you read or choose to read one of the two, depending on your choice. There's also other choices here that happen when you potentially run into dangerous situations, all that kind of stuff. So that's really cool. Again, we'll have to see how this plays out, and I wouldn't be surprised in the solo playthrough that this is the one that we will focus on, the 2 New Roads. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the first one that we need to play through. We've got a letter here. I'm going to take a look at it off screen because I don't want to ruin anything. So this is a letter that is addressed to us. So in the fashion, I can actually show this because the letter is in handwriting, so it's really hard to see anyway. But essentially this is a letter to you, the hero. And really what it's going to do is it's going to give you probably a little bit of backstory on why you're doing what you're doing. So I'm not going to spoil that. You can read that on your own, or we can take a look at this in more depth when we go through the actual playthrough. All right, Dragonholt the village. Now this thing's thick. This thing is massive. This is the actual village of Dragonholt. This one says the approximate playtime per chapter is 30 to 50 minutes. Interesting. So they got playtimes on all this stuff, which is very interesting. This is a huge book. So here we're talking massive amount of story. There's all kinds of numbers. It really, truly is a choose your own adventure style book. So that's going to be really cool. It's huge. It goes up to about wow, that's pretty insane. How many pages is this? Does it even have a page reference? It does not. But I can tell you just from the looks of things here, it's thick. It's a thick book, well bound. Looks like it's glued, not stitched. Let me just double check that. Yep, no stitching there. But yeah, it looks nice. It's nice quality. And oh, look at that. So we got Dragonholt Village tracking sheet on the back. So time, day 1, day 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days there. And then progress. So your heroism, your academic studies, social practice, combat training, spiritual meditation, physical training. Bunch of ways to track more stuff in the game. Interesting. Put that to the side. Wow, this is going to be really cool, I think. We got the map of Dragonholt. So this is the actual map of the area that we're actually heading towards. So this is going to, oh, this is so cool. Let's lay this out so you guys can actually see this. So I'll move a couple of these things out of the way for a second. So let's put this map out. So this is really interesting. Oh, I like this so much. This is really cool. Okay, so essentially it's not a board, it's like a playmat. So you know what I'm kind of thinking with this game that I'm liking off the top already is if you're into solo play, and you wanted a game that's going to probably likely have very little setup time. So far what I'm seeing from the box is you're talking paper. Paper is very easy to store inside of a bag that you're bringing with you. I don't see piles of cards. So like you'd be able to fold this up, fold up your books, put it into some type of case, and you'd be good to go, which is awesome. It's a really quick way of being able to have a little solo adventure anywhere you want. So here you go. This is the town of Dragonholt, and of course it's not flattened out yet because I haven't played enough to get this thing flat, but you got things like the Drunken Hog and the Countess Inn, Fairfax Manor, the Swan, Eastern Roads over here, Chatty Archer, the Bakery, Market Street. You'll see that there's numbers on them, so that's going to coordinate to different things in the book, of course. So that they'll give you that choose your own adventure style. So if you decided, oh, I want to go to the Bakery, it's 6800, so you head there. So again, that's going to open up a whole bunch of other options once, of course, you visit that location. So you got things like the library up here, the shrine. This one has a giant emblem. Maybe this is where you start. Dragon statues, guard station, all that good stuff. The back of this thing, I think, is just a map. Yeah, so it's just kind of like, just looks like a map. It actually even has the nice stain over here, giving it a little bit of some character. So that's kind of cool. I'm a fan of that. I just like the fact that you can just fold it up. It's not a board, and it's super light, so you can pull that. So this is the kind of game I could envision somebody bringing to a hotel, bringing to their friend's house. Not a massive pain to set up, so far from what I'm telling. So this is going to be interesting. Right here we've got Sonia's journal. Now I don't know, I don't want to show you guys this, because I believe this is part of the actual story. But they have journal entries. So just think of a typical journal. It has some writing in it and stuff like this. So there's an example. So essentially you got some writing and stuff like that in it. So this is going to be something we're going to end up reading as we go through the story. It may trigger us to read this right from the beginning, or it might say once we've achieved a certain thing, you get to go through the journal. I'm not going to open this right now for fear of spoilers. And then underneath of this, we got all the rest of the adventures you can go on. So like I said, 2 New Roads, which is over here, is the one we're probably doing first, which is probably why it was on top. This is the rest of the adventures that you can do, all with their approximate time frame. So 50 to 80 minutes to do the Sliver of Silver. There's the artwork for that. Again, another adventure book. Again, you've got your tracking sheet on the back. You've got the Crypt of the Carthan. And that's very, very cool artwork as well on that one. Oh, so interesting. 50 to 80 minutes. So again, same time frame. Whispering Leaves. So there's another one to check out. That one's another 50 to 80 minutes. And Terror on the Prairie. There's a dragon. I got to deal with a dragon in that one. And Paper Faces. Paper Faces is actually pretty thick. I think this might be the biggest one of all of them. And they're decently thick, so there's quite a bit there. And of course you'll be referencing your time book. Ooh, there you go, 75 to 120 minutes. That's the biggest one in the box. So I think how they packaged it was probably in order, would be my guess. And I just pulled one out from the middle. Oh, this one was here. So we'll probably, I'll end up probably playing most of these off camera, especially this pile. But when we go through our playthrough, my guess, like I said, is that the 2 New Roads will probably be the first one we tackle. But that's essentially it. That's what you're going to find inside the copy of Legacy of Dragonholt. I hope this was helpful for you guys in order to find out what's inside of this. As I mentioned, I couldn't find a single unboxing a couple days ago for this thing. So this might be the first one. Maybe there's a couple more out now. But we're definitely going to dive into this because I really want to find out what the story is. And I think it'd be cool because what we'll do in the playthrough when we start doing this together is I'm going to start using the voting again, like we did with the 7th Continent playthrough, where we're going to have voting on what option to take. So obviously, in a typical playthrough video, I will go through a bunch of choices which I will make, but then I'm going to end the video on a choice where I'm going to ask you guys to respond and tell me what to do next. So we'll play the Choose Your Own Adventure style game in a way that you guys can actually join in and help us as we journey along. So what I want you guys to do actually in the description below is just fire me a bunch of names. So what we're going to have to do when we get to the character creation step, which is probably going to happen a little bit further into the solo setup and that kind of thing, I want you guys to, in the comments below, give me some names. And it doesn't just, there's no limit to how many names you want to give me. Just fire a bunch of names in the comments, and I'm just going to take from that pile whatever names I think look good. I'm just going to use those when we start creating our characters, so everybody will have a chance to potentially have their character brought into the game. I don't know yet how many people I will be playing at once. I could be using 3, maybe 4. I don't know. Maybe 2, maybe 1. But still, I just want your suggestions on who and what characters we should bring in terms of names. Also, let me know by giving me a thumbs up if you want to see more of Legacy of Dragonholt, and be sure to share with your friends, let them know we're playing this so that we can get the word out. And that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the unboxing. I will see you guys in the next video, which will be the solo setup. And until next time, keep on rolling solo.